fighting during the campaign.
All right, well, as you well know, the clock is ticking, folks, to a government shutdown. Top Democratic leaders have been touting a possible deal at $33 billion in spending cuts. This is for 2011, the year that we're currently in. But according to GOP freshman House Speaker John Boehner, says that is not the case at all. In fact, freshman Oklahoma Congressman James Lankford, he said this about John Boehner. He said, quote, this is Boehner talking. He said, I left the meeting yesterday with Harry Reid, and I said, let's be clear. We have no number because we have no agreement here. Republican Congresswoman Kristi Noem is the liaison between the freshman class and the House GOP leadership. So good morning to you, and you're the perfect person for us to talk to about this morning because there's a lot going on. I want to go back to, if I may, just a quick soundbite from Harry Reid, because that's what I want to start with you on. But let's listen to that together and get your thoughts.
Democrats and Republicans have agreed upon a number on which to base our budget cuts. That number is $73 billion below the president's budget proposal. Now we have to figure out how to get to that 73 number. As I've said all along, this isn't just about dollars and deficits, Mr. President. It's about principles and priorities. What we cut is much more important than how much we cut.
All right, well, there you have it. Harry Reid apparently got a different impression from that meeting. He walked out and said, well, we're working at around $33 billion.
Well, you know, certainly that's not the perspective that I have. I sit in the leadership meetings with the House leadership each week. I have conversations with them one-on-one, sit in the freshman class meetings. Never at any point was there said that there was a deal reached. In fact, just yesterday, Speaker Boehner told the entire class that there is no deal agreed to. So, you know, we're still waiting for them to come back with some real solutions. And it's interesting. When he talks about having principles and priorities, this is the perfect time to identify them. We have to cut spending. We certainly are accumulating much more debt than our economy can handle, and we're jeopardizing our children's future.
So I guess this, you've got a real roadblock here. You have Democrats who started out at, now they're around $21 billion, I guess, in cuts for the 2011 budget. You had a $100 billion number that was promised during the election from Republicans. Now that came down to somewhere in the $61 billion. I think people watch this process and they say, this is what you all were hired to do. Get a budget for 2011 and let's move on to 2012 and talk about that. When are we going to get an answer on this?
You know, every day people don't understand it because they're back home, and when they see a crisis looming, they start to plan and they make sure that there isn't a problem going forward. They start to solve that problem. I went home last weekend and I told everybody that out here, our federal government is accumulating more debt every single day than our entire state budget in South Dakota. That doesn't make any sense to them. They cannot believe that we're sitting here arguing over cuts that are minuscule in comparison to the debt that we're accumulating in a year.
Well, that's for sure. But, so I'm asking you now, where, you have Tea Party support. What is the Tea Party willing to sign off on? What could you turn around to them and say, look, this is what I got, and they would say, okay, we're going to take that for 2011 and move on. Where? What's the number?
Well, the Tea Party people that support me sent me here to cut spending. They wanted me at the end of the day not to sit here and to argue and to fight for something that was never going to get accomplished. They wanted me to come here and to do something and actually cut the spending. So that's what our goal is. We're working hard, we're pushing hard, making those numbers as big as possible, recognizing that they have to be big in order to actually make a difference and then actually get something accomplished at the end of the day.
So are you putting pressure, are you turning to John Boehner and saying, look, 33 is a no-go. That is not a number we're going to live with. We want to be north of 61. Is that what you're saying to him?
I mean, absolutely. We've had those conversations. Eric Cantor, our leader, certainly gets that message. Speaker Boehner certainly gets that message. That's why you see him standing up very boldly saying, we don't have a deal. We need to come to the table and start talking because we are serious about making some significant cuts to put our country back on track, to make sure that our children have that future we told them that we would deliver.
So what if you don't get it? What happens?
Well, that's in the Democrats' hands. And I think that's what happens a lot of times is people are trying to put the responsibility back on the Republicans. They have the Senate. They have the presidency. It is absolutely time for them to get serious about looking at this country and making those tough decisions with us. We've gone out there and offered solutions. We haven't seen anything come to us from the Senate, and that's what we need.
All right. Well, what about a shutdown? Are you all right with that if that's where this goes?
No, I'm absolutely not okay with the shutdown, but unfortunately that's out of my hands. We've offered them a solution. The Senate Democrats absolutely need to make that decision, and it sounds to me like they're rooting for something like that to happen.
All right, we'll see. Kristi Noem, thank you. Just one last question. If there is a shutdown, should congressmen and congresswomen get paid, and the president, should he get paid?
Absolutely not. I think that would be wrong. We absolutely should not be doing that. And that's why you see that in our bill that we're going to pass off the House floor this week.
Yeah, all right. We're going to talk to a Democrat, actually, who is fighting for the same thing. He says nobody in Congress and the president should not be paid, and there should be no retroactive pay for anyone if the government shuts down, and pay for the military is another issue that has to be addressed as well. Congresswoman Kristi Noem, great to speak with you this morning. Thank you very much.
Wholeheartedly agree. Thank you, Martha.
Okay, we'll speak soon.
All right, mysterious note.